yeah, I loved it. So from then on, yeah, Dave and Mark McKnight and Eric Thompson was there at the time. Now it's Brad Pataki, but all those guys just helped me grow so much as a wrestler. Like I said before, the only thing I really knew how to do was work hard. I didn't know much wrestling, so these guys have been a huge blessing to my wrestling career, and then kind of helped funnel me to where I am today.
Levi, I just want to say both Bernie and Aaron have confirmed to us that you are the best dodgeball player. But my real question for you is, obviously at the Flow All-Stars at the beginning of the season, we saw how much love the fans had in Rec Hall for the Penn State guys, even though it was technically a neutral event. Now we go to another technically neutral event, but obviously at the BJC. How much fanfare do you expect at something with much bigger stakes like this?
I mean, I think we always, I don't know if there ever is a neutral area. I mean, even at the national tournament, I mean, anytime a Penn State guy walks out there, I mean, the place goes crazy. So, yeah, I think it's anytime a Penn State wrestler goes out there, the fans are going to get into it. So I think it's just, we're really fortunate that it's close, so a lot of people that maybe don't have the means to travel are able to travel and be here. So I know for some of my close family, it's a little bit easier for them to get here rather than it being the whole way across the country. So I'm thankful for that.
Levi, you grew up in Pennsylvania wrestling alongside so many legends who are also going to step on the mat this weekend. What does it mean to you to, be wrestling on a mat alongside your Spencer Lees and your Vincenzo Josephs? You even have to compete against some of these guys who are not only your teammates, but people that you may or may not have looked up to your entire life.
Yeah, I think it's really cool that I'm in a position where I get to compete against the guys that I looked up to. I feel like that's kind of where I've always seen myself going. So, yeah, I remember watching Spencer and Vincenzo win state titles. I was fortunate enough when I was a kid, I got to always go to the state tournament and watch. So it's pretty neat that I get to go watch those guys compete and hopefully get the opportunity to compete against them.
So how much influence has David had on you? How has he made you helped make you the wrestler you are today?
Yeah, I mean, I've replicated a lot of stuff around Dave. He's taught me so much about wrestling, things that I just never would have thought of, whether that's mentality, little tactics. So even weight cutting he's helped me with. So he's just a wealth of knowledge. I mean, just the way his mentality around the sport, I've kind of tried to adopt that, and it's helped me grow. I've had some shortcomings in the past that I feel was probably more of a mental lapse than really a wrestling issue. So I'm thankful for him for that, and he just kind of brings a calmness to the room. And I know a lot of people don't get to know Dave personally, but he's a pretty funny guy, and he's just kind of always
He's still
helping
you?
Oh yeah. Oh my
like
goodness.
how? Like how much?
Yeah, he still coaches me.
Like regularly?
Yeah. We wrestle quite a bit now. Love the size where I can kind of keep up with him a little bit. So yeah, it's pretty awesome that he still makes time for me and amongst his training. So yeah.
How many times you beat him?
Oh man, I'll tell you off record.
But at least once.
At least once, probably. Yeah.
Okay. Levi, Facundo, Messenbrink, Nolf, Dake, and you guys all train in the same room, and you're all in the same bracket. So what does practice look like when you guys all know you're going to be in the same bracket? Are you avoiding each other? Are you training with each other? What does that look like?
Yeah, we still train with each other. I think it's just we understand that that's a possibility, and I mean, if you want to be the best, you train with the best. So I think that's kind of the way I look at it. I can't really speak for those guys, but I know I'm really thankful for all those guys. I know that sometimes with the competitive juices flowing, it can kind of be chippy and stuff, but I think our coaches do a really good job of kind of maintaining that, but also we just understand that we're kind of helping each other chase our dreams and goals. So I think that we just kind of all have that understanding and are willing to give each other help. It's never like, oh, I'm not going to help him get better, because then you're kind of negatively affecting yourself. If I'm helping him, he's helping me. We'll both climb and so just kind of help us be the best we can.
how involved is Kale still with your all's progress at this point in the offseason?
Oh, he's still very involved. I mean, the sacrifice he makes in his life is unreal. I think we're very fortunate. Our coaches put in an unreal amount of hours, and that's away from their families and things. So I can't thank any of them enough. So sometimes they'll get there at 7 o'clock in the morning, and they might not go home until 7 o'clock at night, So they're very flexible with helping guys with schedules and things, and there's a reason that we're the best, and it's because of our coaches' dedication to us.
So they were pretty excited about that.
You talked about earlier how since you could remember, you wanted to make an Olympic team. Was the goal always 2024, or was it just kind of, happen because you just low-key won a national title?
Yeah, no, I never put a specific year on it, but I've always wanted to win an Olympic gold medal. I didn't know when it was going to happen, and I knew at the beginning of this year that I had a great opportunity to get myself to that goal. So I don't think it was ever like I put a date on it. It was kind of like when I realized like I was going to be able to compete with these guys. So no, I didn't have a set date in my mind ever, but just coming here, getting an opportunity to wrestle in this was kind of like, I'm where I need to be.
So Levi, you took off your senior year of high school, basically lived up here, or did you commute back and forth? My parents had got a little rental property up here, and I kind of lived up here, but I was also going home a lot. So I had a very unique opportunity where I was doing homeschooling. So I was up here training a lot, but I still got to go home a lot. And I'm fortunate. I have a lot of access to wrestling mats at home, so I would bounce back and forth. But so that year I kind of just was able to really be dedicated up here. And how often were you training with David during that time?
A lot.
Like every day?
Not every day, but at least 3-4 times a week. So I was going to M2, and then I was qualified to wrestle at the RTC, so I'd wrestle there as well. So I was wrestling with like Jason Knopf, Zane Rutherford, and then I would go to M2 practices and wrestle with guys from local high schools. Wrestle a lot with Jude and Matt Sarbo, guys like that. All the way up through that time. So that situation was amazing. That really set me up to do great things. So I'm very thankful for that time I had, and just my parents' sacrifice. My dad was still living at home. My mom was up here. She got a job, so they were living apart for a year. And I don't know how they did it, but they did, and I'm forever grateful for them for that. And my sister too. There's a lot of time taken away from her, so
that's the secret.
I don't regret any bit of it.
Are you able to leverage any of the things you learned in that experience with some of the newer kids that are coming in, kind of the same plan?
Yeah, kind of, but
yeah.
It's a little different for everybody, The guys that are coming in now and choosing that gray shirt, it's a little bit different than I did because I was still in high school, so I still having to do classes and things. When guys are gray shirt now coming in, they're not having to do any school. So, it's a little bit different. I can offer them some advice, but everybody's career is kind of different, and they're kind of responsible for it. I was a pretty independent person, and was very consistent with my training. A lot of guys maybe don't have that same kind of mentality to it. So our coaches are very good at kind of feeling that out and knowing what's best for guys.
So David said you drove 2.5 hours one way to train at M2 whenever you first started.
Yes, sir.
What made that so enticing for you to travel so far to compete at his club?
It was just where the best training was. So that's what was so enticing about it. I could get the best training from one of the best wrestlers in the world, and so I wasn't the one driving either. I didn't have a driver's license yet, so my parents were doing it after school. So it was tough, but getting schoolwork done in the car, and then my parents were both school teachers, so as soon as they were done, we were splitting for state college, and then late nights getting up, going to school the next day. So
because Pennsylvania wrestling's good anyway. You could have been pretty good without having to do that, right?
Yeah, definitely. I can't say for certain, obviously. I think for me at that time, I didn't have the greatest training partner resources, so being able to come up here and get the best training partners was the best for me. And then to be exposed to this high level of wrestling that Dave brought to me was unreal. I didn't have that at home. So to be able to get exposed to that high level of wrestling was awesome, and for me to still be in high school and getting that is about unreal. It doesn't happen.
How about your best David Taylor story, especially from maybe when you first met him?
My best David Taylor story. There's too many to think of. I remember when I made the cadet world team. So we're on the way there in the morning, and Backstreet Boys came on, and Dave was like just singing as loud as he could, and that's a memory that is always kind of engraved in my mind because he just was there, kind of making the lightening up the mood, and then obviously went on to make my first age level world team that day. So he just is very, very intelligent with that kind of stuff.
So he's been coaching you for most of your life. Have you said any advice to him? Kind of give him any pointers ahead of this tournament?
That man, no, I don't even try to give that guy pointers. He's so dialed in. He doesn't need me telling him anything.
What's the best thing, or even if it's small, about David as a wrestler that you've been around him as much as anyone.
Yeah.
But what separates? Is there something even small that maybe
his mentality? His mentality. I mean,
what do you mean?
So like his work ethic is unmatched, but just the way he taught me. I think the biggest thing that he's taught me and what he's been able to adopt in his wrestling that makes him the best is kind of working smarter, not harder. Like I was telling you guys there when I first got there, to Dave, I'll work harder or just as hard as anybody you put me up against. So Dave kind of shaped me into that. He's like, that's great and all, but there's a point where everybody works hard and that's not enough. So then adopting how to train smarter and kind of so like instead of wrestling twice a day for every day of the week, maybe backing down your training and shaping it to maybe you're only wrestling, let's say you're wrestling two times a day, 3 days a week instead of every day of the week. So your body just gets more recovery and stuff like that. So he's mastered that. I'm still kind of trying to figure that out. But he's the best at it, and that's what makes him the best.
Levi, the weight class changed with Tegan O'Toole dropping out. You were going to have Vincenzo first round. Now you got Facundo first round, correct?
I haven't seen I don't think the brackets come back out yet. I think that's what everybody's speculating. So I'm not really sure. But
you don't have to come here, right? You have matches. These are people who are all sitting. Why come do the press conference when you got to wrestle right away? You're right into competition, and they get to sit. Why do the press conference? Why was it important to you?
No, I thought it was just a great opportunity for me to kind of put myself out there and meet some new people. Earlier in the week, I was kind of skeptical about it. I'm not super big into like talking a whole bunch, especially about myself. It's just not who I am. But it was a very unique opportunity, especially with David. I don't know how many other opportunities I'm going to get to do press conferences with Dave, and he means the world to me. So just that opportunity to kind of do this with David, I thought was pretty unique, and you just never know who you're going to meet during these things.
Coach Kill does a really good job of keeping you guys, not saturated with media, social media. You guys do a really good job of kind of doing what you guys do, and that's wrestle and win, right? You just alluded to it, right? You don't do much talking about yourself. You don't do much media, right? But coming here was important, and you're putting yourself out here a little bit, and Coach does such a good job. What does he say to you guys about this, Coach Kill?
Yeah, Coach Kale tells us to do our individual thing. So, I mean, you see some guys on our team, like Carter, he kind of likes to, he likes to use the social media, and I'm just not, I don't use a ton of social media to begin with. So, some personalities, just, I think mine's kind of, I'm not one to talk about myself a whole lot. Yeah, I think it's kind of tailored to the individual. I think it's pretty unique that we get to come here and our coaches kind of let us make that decision based on what we want to do. I think Coach Kale definitely would, if he could, he would encourage us not to use the social media because it can kind of make a lot of unneeded pressure and things. But a lot of guys don't think of it like that now. Obviously, guys are trying to build their brand and things. So I'm not one to build my brand with
hyping stuff up to make something it's really not. So that's why I'm not super big into the social media stuff. So yeah, I think it's just kind of tailored towards the individual. Coming to this though, I knew the opportunity that I had was pretty unique. Not too many people get this opportunity, you know. I still have 2 more years of college, and they wanted me to do the press conference at the Olympic trials. I was like, yeah, I'll do it.
So you got freakish strength is how I like to describe it. You got a leg, you're always going to finish with it. It reminds me a lot of Zane. Zane's is more like get on top of you and mangle you. Yours is like this crazy freakish strength. Seeing him crush an apple, and you guys, they say it's farm boy strength, PA farm boy strength. Can you crush an apple, and do you think your strength is similar to like Zane's?
I don't know if anybody's as strong as Zane Rutherford. That dude's on a different level. I'm not sure if I can crush an apple either. I haven't tried, but I imagine I probably could. I mean, it's just a fruit.
It's like the Danny Hodge trick, right?
Yeah.
Danny Hodge used to crush an apple, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you go into those tournaments, right?
Yeah.
You always see him crush an apple, right? But like that's freakish strength, right? To grab a piece of produce like that and abuse it is
I think
it's pretty special.
Pennsylvania, the way people kind of grow up, is kind of like a rural thing, and I think culturally it's just, you know, if you're from Pennsylvania, you work for what you got. So I think that's kind of where it comes from, and you can definitely, I think we were raised similarly, so I think that's kind of where it comes from too. Genetics also play a pretty big effect. My dad's a pretty big dude.
Levi, when you go out there and you step out on the mat and, you know, maybe you kind of answer this or maybe not, but you face some of your close friends and people that you know very, very well, how do you turn on or off that switch to get in the zone and be like, all right, this is not, I got to go out there and get a match, this is not my friend at the moment?
Yeah, I think they can still be your friend. I don't think you have to turn that off. You know, I really care about all the guys I train with. So, but I kind of was talking about this a little bit earlier. Is we're all training to achieve the same goal. You know, if you ask those guys what their goal is, be an Olympic gold medalist. So, you know, there's only 6 weight classes in the Olympics. So, unfortunately, we're probably gonna have to wrestle each other for those spots, and it's just the way it is, especially with these older guys sticking around longer. It is what it is, and I know when I go out there, I'm going to give them my best, and they're going to give me their best. So I think it's special. I think people kind of try to make it a negative thing, but I think it's pretty cool. I get to train with those guys all year long, and then we're competing against one another. I think we can just kind of keep pushing each other to become the best.
So you said it was special, and I find that very, very good, and it's a very good thing. Does that match, like let's say you get someone that's, you know, you're really close with, does that kind of build the bond of friendship that you're going to go out there in a way, because you both are giving it your all on the mat and trying to achieve a goal, but you know, one of you got to come victorious, and does that build that bond?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I don't know. I feel like it definitely can. Some people are going to probably take it differently than others. For me, I take it kind of that way. It's like, you know, we're kind of in this race together, and we might have to compete against each other along the way, but we're going to see it through with one another. So I kind of look at it that way.